Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. A quick little invitation to all of you IB Economics students to head on over to my website, bradcartwright.com, a website designed to help you improve your scores in IB Economics, whether that be on an in-class quiz, a test, or ultimately the IB exam. So if you want some more information, check out the description box below. And other than that, enjoy this video. All right, now let's take a deeper look at paper one and just trying to understand how it is that this paper is constructed. What are the skills, those key elements, those 5 key elements, right? Language, calculations, diagrams, analysis, and evaluation that we need to have in order to do well on this paper, okay? So paper one, some key elements for you to know just to understand it, okay? If you are a high-level student, paper one is worth 20% of your composite score. If you're a standard level student, paper one is worth 30% of your composite score, okay? Paper one is called the essay question, and here is how it is structured, okay? So the structure of the paper, if you're from the States and the structure of the exam, when you see paper here, paper and exam are what are they called? Similes for one another, okay? So structure of the exam, structure of the paper. Okay, on paper one, there are 3 questions. The questions will come from all 4 units of the syllabus. Okay, so what are those units? Those units are the introduction, microeconomics, which includes market power, macroeconomics, and global economy, which includes, of course, a section on international economics and then development economics, okay? You as a student must answer one of the 3 questions. So you're gonna get 3 questions, right? You're gonna get 3 questions and you need to answer one of them, okay? You will have 1 hour and 15 minutes to take the exam, or a total of 75 minutes, okay? Cool. Some more information on the structure of the paper. Each one of the questions, so each of the 3 questions is gonna have 2 parts. Part A, which is an analysis question, worth 10 marks, and part B, which is an evaluation question, which is worth 15 marks, okay? When you get the paper, you're gonna have 1 hour and 15 minutes to write this thing, but before that starts, you're gonna get a 5-minute reading period before you begin, which will give you a chance to look through the 3 questions and make a decision based on what you read, on what question you should answer. And here's a key advice, and I'll talk about this at the end again, but you wanna pick the question that you're most comfortable with in part B, okay? Look at part B is worth 15 marks. That is what, so if you look at the 3 questions and you want to go, and I always say this to students, go in reverse alphabetical order. It goes for paper 1, paper 2, or paper 3. Go in reverse alphabetical order, right? Can I do the evaluation? No. Can I do it? Yes. Can I do it? Yes. Okay, then look at A, okay? And then for the second and third question, whichever one of part A you can do better, that's the question that you choose, okay? So in the 5-minute reading period, what should you do? You're gonna make a plan. You're gonna think about what are the key terms, what are the diagrams, what's the analysis gonna look like, what's the evaluation, and what are the real life situations or real life examples that I could use in this paper to make it clear to the examiner that I can take economic theory, I can take some of these 9 themes, 9 core concepts. You always want to litter your writing with those 9 themes. Even if it's not on the mark scheme, litter it with those schemes, those 9 themes, 1, 2 of them, always, okay? And then apply it to the real life examples, okay? So that's what you're gonna do during the 5-minute reading period, okay? Here's some advice for part A, right? So this is part A. Well, first of all, let me just say that each question is made up of 2 parts. And the reason it's question 1, A and B, is that this is really important. If you do a definition, if you give a definition in part A, because it's part of the same question, you don't have to redefine the terms in part B, okay? That's why they're like question 1, part A and B, question 2, A and B, question 3, A and B, okay? So part A is the analysis question. Okay, so you will be asked to draw a diagram almost undoubtedly and apply the economic theory to the question using a real life example. Okay, so it depends on where the question comes from, but these are the types of things where the question's gonna be pretty straightforward, pretty simple, you know, using a diagram, explain the impact of an indirect tax on the market for alcohol, right? So you go, okay, there's the diagram, right? It's an indirect tax diagram on what product? Alcohol in Chile. Okay, so I got it there for use, you know, Chilean pesos or something, okay? And in this question, some common command terms for part A are explain, analyze, distinguish, or suggest, okay? So these questions will always ask you to take economic theory and then explain it more. Like, I like to think of analysis always as like, you know, when you're watching a football game, like a soccer game on TV, right? You're watching it and there's one person, one announcer going, goal, right? And you're like, yeah, no kidding, dude. I just saw them score the goal. But then the next person to talk after the goal is usually someone they call the analyst. Well, what does the analyst do? The analyst takes information that wasn't evident on the screen as you watched the goal and adds the depth. They take knowledge from their understanding of FC Barcelona and the new system they're trying to play and apply it to the goal, right? So then analysis is deeper than what's on the screen. So economic analysis is analysis of what happens in the diagram. So if it's a tax on alcohol in Chile, that's pretty obvious. You can read the diagram, right? That's just obvious. What analysis is saying what this actually means, what explains what you just can already see on the screen, but using economic definitions, using economic language, and explaining how that might impact the different aspects, or like the different aspects of the diagram, okay? So that whole idea of analysis, if you've ever watched a sporting event, really makes sense. That's why they call that person an analyst, okay? Excellent. So that's part A for paper 1. Okay. Now let's take a look at some advice for part B. Part B, question B, is always the evaluation question. What evaluation is doing is asking you to go beyond the book using real life examples, okay? Meaning that you're going to synthesize real life examples with economic theory. This is critical. If you don't do this, you're providing a report and you don't get a good mark, so you don't get a good score on your IB exam, okay? Common command terms for part B: evaluate, discuss, to what extent, compare and contrast, okay? There's a bunch of writing strategies that we'll discuss later about how you should structure part A, how you should structure part B. It's really important that you have good structure. I'm going to give you some advice on the next slide, but if you're looking, the purpose of this video is not to give you the actual structure. It's just to look at the paper, understand what it's asking you, so that you can understand what kind of information you need to go learn and work on skill-wise in order to be successful, okay? So lastly, some important advice. Be sure to answer the question. It's really hard sometimes to remember, like you wouldn't think it is, but students can get lost in their answer and they don't actually answer the question that was asked of them. So make sure you answer the question. I always suggest, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about writing strategies, but provide a topic sentence for each part of your answer. And usually I just tell students to basically plagiarize the question, because on an IB exam, the questions aren't actually questions, they're statements, So in part A, you could just say right away, in part A, this question will analyze the impact of an indirect tax on the alcohol market in Chile. You just plagiarize the question, right? But it really creates structure for the reader in order to give you good marks, okay? So define all economic terms, use real life examples. If you can, use one of the 9 themes, right, of the IB course in your answer. It's a great way of saying I can synthesize information and know what the command terms are asking you to do. So if it says explain, what does that mean? If it says to what extent, if it says evaluate, what does that mean? If it says to what extent, what does that mean? Synthesize, what does that mean, okay? You need to know what you're being asked. And if you don't, then obviously you're not going to be able to answer the question as effectively, okay? So, cool. There you have it. The information on paper 1, the essay question, and how it is, or what it will look like when you get it, and some really basic advice as to how to understand the question. And of course, we'll get into writing strategies in some other videos, but just make sure that you understand. The idea of this video is just for you to understand what's on paper 1.